guys, and welcome to the Spin the Wheel Doctor Who podcast. It's the first time I've said that in about 5 or 6 months. Unbelievable. I can smell someone. It's Daft Punk! Hello, Jamie! Hello, Tobi! How are you guys doing?
I'm concerned.
Same.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that again. If you want to see Daft Punk terrorize these two, go to the Who Game Show's YouTube channel in 2 or 3 days' time. There's something special is coming, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Very special.
I've just traumatized these guys because they thought, oh my god, he's back. But no. But yeah, one final time. We said that last time, but one final time. I thought, because we hit the 1 year anniversary of this channel a few months back now, and that was a few weeks after we uploaded our final YouTube video. So I felt kind of sad that we didn't kind of reach that 1 year. So technically we now have. So yeah, this is fantastic. This is a Christmas special. I hope you guys are having a lovely Christmas week, getting prepared for Christmas. Jamie, have you brought your relatives some Christmas presents?
Yeah, I tried to. I mean, I haven't really been able to for the past 2 weeks. I've been shut up in my own house, but you know, I can get out this week, hopefully.
You got a Christmas market nearby?
Yeah, but the thing is with my parents, I really don't know what to get them aside from sweets and booze, and I'm not old enough to buy booze.
A Doctor Who box set. They always want that.
Nah, that's usually for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Tobi, how about you? You into the buying stuff or the giving? No, the giving or the receiving?
I do both. And you can interpret it how you will.
Nice. Do you give stuff to yourself, like Jamie does?
I give stuff to me all the time, but not just like a special occasion for Christmas. Like, I'm gonna buy myself something. No, I'm just buying myself regular stuff.
Nice. This is a Doctor Who podcast. But Jamie, one last word before we get into the point of this.
Well, for example, I'm buying myself the Flux Steelbook in January.
There's a steelbook for that already.
Yeah. They announced it a little. They announced it before the series had even aired.
I'm not invested in that kind of thing. Well, not invested in steelbooks, but like not the Doctor Who promotion of Flux. So I was completely out of that. So I had no idea. I do think I stumbled across the artwork, but I just thought that was like, what do you call it? Concept art. But apparently not. It must have been the real deal. Fair enough. But today I have explained to these folks what we're going to be doing, but for the audience's sake, I will explain the concept for you and what we're going to be doing for the next hour and a half. So we're going to be talking about each Christmas special of Doctor Who, the revival, so not Future Stephen, in the order the spinny wheel dictates, because of course we have to stay loyal to the spin the wheel formats. Around 10 minutes for each episode, even though I did say that for the Home Alone franchise we did on the Big Screen podcast. And I said like 10 minutes, and then it turned out to be a half hour for each one. So, but yeah, we're on a tight schedule today, particularly today compared to the last day. So we do really have to stay on track, let's say. And then we'll move on to the fan leaderboard, where it will be revealed one by one for each number. So 13 all the way to number 1 in terms of what the audience have said are their favorite 3 Christmas specials. I'll explain the concept later on, but these two will have to guess which one is in each spot we're up to. So for example, at number 9, I'll pause it just before it's revealed, and them two have to guess what people have chosen. And then at the very end, we're all going to reveal our own top 13, or basically the Christmas specials, in order from worst to highest, or highest to worst, whatever mood they're feeling in. So that's the concept. Should we spin that wheel?
We should spin that wheel.
I'm so glad someone did that. Here we go. It's spinning. I should probably right round, baby, right round. Dun, 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 dun. Kill me right now, fucking. Okay. So it's an interesting one to start off. It's the end of time. Now, this has been mentioned on like several episodes of Spin the Wheel and Hit or Miss before we were doing the Hit or Miss, of course. And it's a very conflicting one because some people love it, some people hate it. Andy Kemp, who couldn't be with us today, well, he could have been, but he didn't want to be because of toxicity and whatever. So he's like, no. But ironically, he hates the end of time. So I'm really interested to know what your thoughts are. Should we doing like a circular motion. So Toby, then Jamie, then me, maybe like that.
Okay.
Toby, what do you think?
I don't hate the end of time, but I don't like it. I think it's okay. Let me say it like this. I think it's a very good special to end the 10th Doctor. I think it served that purpose quite good, and it is a good story to watch, but it's just not a story that I like to rewatch often or just see myself watching casually, just because it's without this emotional value that you have it at the end of the era. I think without this emotional value, it just doesn't hold up too much for me.
I agree, Jamie, and that's really unfortunate because, to be honest, I really loved it until I rewatched it about a few weeks ago, and then I recently enrolled at university in like September, October time, and since then I've just been super critical of like films and like analyzing and like deducting why I like stuff, why I don't like stuff, and the end of time is a really mixed bag, and I still love it, but I respect that it's got flaws, and it's one I will rewatch. Like I annually binge watch the Christmas specials, and I will continue to do so. But it's a shame because it has massively went down in my estimations. And like you, I just don't really enjoy it except from the final 20-30 minutes now because of that emotional stuff. So yeah, I do agree with you, Jamie.
It depends on the 2 episodes, because I think part 1 is an absolute mess. It's like nothing makes sense. I really don't like part 1, but part 2 I really like. Specifically, like everything, like the last 30 minutes, I really like. Like Timothy Dalton's brilliant. Tennant's on top form. Because Tennant's my favorite Doctor, I do get choked up at during the regeneration and the farewell tour and whatnot. I know some people don't like the farewell bit, but I like it. So basically, I adore everything in the last 30 minutes, but I think the main story itself is just an absolute mess. But I stand Wilf.
we all stand Wilf. But
Yes.
it's like, but it is an absolute mess with all the resurrection of Howard Saxon stuff. It was like, oh, we are the disciples of this man we shouldn't even remember. And then all of a sudden, the security card is working for Lucy. And it's like, I was never the brightest, but I have people as well. And if there's a get well potion, there's also a get dead potion. There you go, boom. And I just thought, what the hell am I watching? And I just thought, they're slapping epic music over this to make it seem, great, but it's just not. And it feels very gimmicky nowadays. But yeah, part 1 is inferior. Part 2 is superior just because of the emotional stuff, the Wilf and Doctor stuff, on the spaceship. Like, I would be proud if you were my dad. That line hits. That line hits. And the final 20 minutes, you can't go wrong with that. And what's your favorite moment from like the final 20 minutes on terms of the flashbacks? Which is your favorite like character flashback? The open question.
I think Donna's wedding for me. And the bit with the lottery ticket as well. I don't know why. I just really like that bit.
That's special. Yeah, sorry, Toby, go for it.
For me, it's the one with Rose in the snow. I just think it's such a beautiful ending to this whole 4 seasons, and it just caps it off perfectly and makes it round, and I just really like it for that.
Yeah, the line at the end in the snow, I reckon you're going to have a fabulous or fantastic year. Like when she says 2005, that was magic. But Jamie, you said the wedding scene, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, I love that scene as well, but for a different reason and for a different moment than you. Because I always love the little reference that the Doctor makes in terms of it's Sylvia's husband that gave him the £1. I always shed a tear to that because the original.
Yeah, that's what I meant, the lottery ticket scene.
Oh, I thought you meant the actual, like, giving the lottery ticket or double rollover at that moment, like, they're going to win the lottery.
No, I meant they're giving the £1 for the lottery. Like, I just meant it differently.
Oh, then, yeah, I absolutely agree. That's awesome. But for me, it's the actual tie-in, so it's a bit less obvious compared to some of the others, but it's the tie-in with Human Nature, the Family of Blood. You have, like, the granddaughter of Joan, and then she says... Oh no, he says to her, was she happy in the end? And she says, yes, she was. Were you? And then you have the very subtle reaction from David Tennant. And I just say to myself, acting. That is acting. And David Tennant, For the flaws this episode has, David Tennant is incredible, and I can see why he's your favorite Doctor.
I will say this though, I love the Jones scene, but it mildly annoys me because they went to see Jones' granddaughter, but never people like Sally or Elton.
Why would he go to see a guy who has sex with a paving slab?
Okay, maybe not Elton, but Sally.
Yeah, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Oh well, it's only a minor thing. It's only a minor thing.
But I think there are a lot of things that could have been also revisited in this sequence. But I think what was chosen is a good sample size.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. And like Human Nature, the Family of Blood is like universally, well, not universally, but widely seen as like one of the best Tennant stories, I think.
Yeah, but that's the reason why I said about Sally Sparrow, because, you know, obviously it's decreased in popularity now, but like back then it was like one of the most popular things.
Fair enough. So we're going to spin the wheel again. I shall share my screen.
Spin that wheel. I'm going to do that every time.
Please do.
Oh, I've got fresh knowledge on this one.
This is the one that I was very interested in. It's spinning. We're going to find out now. It's spinning.
Don't spin that wheel. Don't spin that wheel.
Okay, so we'll talk about, what's his name? The Snowmen. Then we'll talk about the return of Dr. Mysterio. God damn it. Okay, so Snowmen. that was complete. I clicked remove and then it just spun it again. Whatever. Okay, so the Snowmen. Jamie, this is the one I was really interested in hearing your thoughts on because it's something you liked, but then you hadn't seen it in a while and you've seen people rave about it on Discord and whatever, and you thought, I'm going to give this another go, and then you'll save your thoughts for the podcast. So, this is the podcast. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I enjoyed it more.
Shit.
No, I enjoyed it more than the than initially. I enjoyed it before the rewatch, but it's still not my favorite. I still don't adore it because there's little things which bug me. Like overall, it's still enjoyable, and I still feel very Christmassy when I watch it. But there's little corny moments like a whole family crying on Christmas Eve, and the memory worm scenes, which just like bump it down a little bit. But I can kind of forgive it because it's a Christmas special. Well, I can forgive the memory worm scene because it's a Christmas special and it's a dumb joke for that. But the crying one is a major plot point, and it's really kind of dumb. And yeah, I don't really like it, but.
Yeah, so this is where I kind of like analyze it in a different respect. I don't see it as like I'm going to critique this Christmassy episode because it's a Doctor Who episode. I just think I want to be taken away by the Christmas stuff. And like crying on Christmas is very hard hitting because you don't cry on Christmas.
Yeah, but they didn't need to have the line "a whole family crying on Christmas Eve." Like it would have been fine without the line. It was the line which got me because it was just so corny.
So what would you rate it now, like out of 10?
Originally I gave it a 7, now I'll give it an 8.
Progress. 2 years time, I'll have you back and it'll be a 10 out of 10. Next year it'll be a 9, next year it'll be the 10. How about you, Tobi?
This Snowman is, I think, the one episode where I have the least memory of.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know really why, I just think it's mostly quite forgettable and average. It's not bad, it's just kind of... It's fun, it's okay, it's cool, but it's not... I don't hate it, I don't really like it, I think it's fun, it's cool, it's okay.
Fair. So how much of that do you actually remember? Any like noble moments that stand out or not?
Oh, one moment I really like, and I remember, is the one where the Victorian Clara and climbs up this ladder on the rooftop, and they're just spinning around in the ladder.
Oh, they're going up the staircase.
Yes, yeah. And then she's up on the clouds, if you want to, and that's one moment I remember and I like.
It's so magical when she goes up the stairs and then like before she actually goes up the stairs with the Doctor, when she's doing it alone, and the first time she goes onto the cloud and she walks on the cloud, that's so beautiful. And
I gotta say, I love that scene, but I especially love the bit where. We don't properly see the TARDIS, and then Clara walks in. The lights just go on, and then
the music. Oh yeah, it's so stylistic as well, because there's some moments in this and in Series 7B, especially because people don't give that series enough credit. But there's a scene in the Bells of St. John, or maybe in the Snowmen, but I think it's the Bells of St. John, where it's the first ever time the camera goes all the way around the TARDIS console room, the main control room, and that's the first ever time that happens, and it just looks beautiful. But with the Snowmen, that's the first time, because I actually found out that it was John Rose, Series 1, Episode 1. Russell T Davies wanted that to happen, like going into the TARDIS in one continuous movement, but it was just like a budget thing, they couldn't do it. So the Snowman was the first thing to do it. It was the first episode to do it. And I just thought that was really cool trivia to bring up. But I think it's so stylistic. I think this is the most beautiful Christmas special. It's my favorite Christmas special of Doctor Who, first of all. I think Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman are on top form. I saw some appreciation from them from a big Twitter account recently, and everyone was like, yeah, that episode is fantastic, their chemistry was superb. I think Jenna Coleman and Matt Smith were never better. I think they were both great anyway, and as a fan of both of them, I do think they were actually better than 12 and Clara. I think Clara developed a bit of an ego.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
I don't agree.
I'm not a big fan of 12 and Clara, but 11 and Clara I can get behind.
I'll be honest, I was surprised that only just one of you actually agreed with me. So I'm happy to have one, but yeah, I can understand why you would like, what's his name? Clara and 12 more, because a lot of people do. But yeah, I love more of like I don't want to say space romance, because that's more like 10 and Rose, but you can just tell that they like have a bond together, and it's not like really in your face romantic in that respect. And like I think Moffat did that with Amy quite a lot in Series 5, but with this I think he matured into a really good writer, and he could just write scenarios and you could just feel their presence. And I think Smith had better chemistry with Jenna Coleman than he ever did with Karen Gillan, even though him and Karen Gillan were superb. The thing is, when Jamie said bad things, it's like a line. So I think it is pinnacle Christmas special for me.
I just think it's just the old Christmas special corniness. It's just, and also even then, like if like conceptually, it is better than I rate it. It's just in terms of like how much I enjoy it, I just give it like an 8.
I think you would appreciate more if it was like Matt Smith was your favorite Doctor, because it's an absolute powerhouse from him.
Probably.
Like how The End of Time is your favorite Doctor, and yeah.
To be honest, I did watch The Web of Fear recently, so I think just in terms of the great intelligence, this one is significantly weaker.
Oh yeah. If you want to get into that kind of stuff, then absolutely it's weaker. And like the Snowmen talking is a bit but yeah, I agree. Any final thoughts?
I have a mild grudge
Tobi or
against the
Jamie?
story because it scared me as a little kid when it first aired.
The zombie bit towards the end, maybe?
No, I mean, I just didn't want to watch it as soon as I saw the pictures of the Snowmen.
Okay, so you were like really, really young, and you were like terrified of snowmen. But yeah, that was the Snowmen. Next up is the return of Dr. Mysterio. Should we go Toby first? What do you think of... You see, this is the forgettable one. This is the forgettable one that most people... I remember this first came out, like there were articles and there's like fans lament the latest Christmas special for being boring, and because this was like straight after like the gap year, so I can see why people would have been like, oh, this is a bit underwhelming, but I quite liked it. What do you think, Toby? This is forgettable.
I don't think it's forgettable. I just think it's painfully unfunny.
I just love
this was and I think that you said that a lot of people were disappointed when it because of the gap year, and actually this was the first episode I watched live when it came out. All the other stuff I watched separately.
Interesting.
And I don't think it aired here in Germany at Christmas Eve. I think it was somewhere in January or something, and I was like very excited. First episode live, and this was not it. But then Series 10 came along and saved everything.
Yeah, Series 10.
I think I'd rather this was my first episode live instead of Asylum of the Daleks, personally.
Oh man, don't start this nonsense again. Asylum of the Daleks.
No. The reason why I say that is because it meant that as a kid I loved dinosaurs in a spaceship, and now I feel obligated to give it a 2 instead of a 1 because I had the nostalgia towards it.
You still hate dinosaurs on a spaceship, huh? Fair. Ironically, I think this is the first. Well, I think Toby, you kind of alluded to it there, but I'll rephrase. I really liked this episode initially, and I still do. I think it's mightily underrated, or actually no, let me rephrase that. I think it's overhated. I think some people say it's like the worst Christmas special, and I think, have you seen the next Doctor? Have you seen what
The Doctor, the Wizard, and the Wardrobe.
No, fuck.
I don't want to spoil anything, but it is actually on my ranking.
It's the Return of Doctor Mysterio at your bottom.
Yes.
Explain why. Explain why. Like, what are the really egregious things about it?
It's not just it's not the one thing that's like I don't like. It's just I just think I watch it and I find it very unfunny and it makes me uncomfortable when I watch it. But I can appreciate some things that they were going to, what ideas they were in play, and this could have been interesting. But I just think it's
yeah, the X-ray comment was very uncomfortable. That was weird.
It's boring and it's unfunny at the same time, and both together is just. At least if something is boring, the plot is boring, but at least it's funny, then okay. But like it's boring and I don't laugh at it, and no.
Jamie, defend this episode, please. Be on my side.
As the only episode in 2016, it was terrible. But as a standalone episode on its own, I think it's decent. Not amazing, but decent. It's a bit of turn your brain off fun in my eyes. And the Pokemon reference was appreciated.
I understand why it's a forgettable episode, but I just stand. What's his name? Dr. Huffle?
I don't remember. It's been a while.
The little toy that the woman squeezes.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I say whenever I watch this episode, I just think this is just Doctor Who trying to capitalize off the success of the MCU, and this is significantly weaker than both Doctor Strange and Civil War, which came out the same year.
Shots fired from Jamie over here.
I don't think that's really shots fired. I think most people love Doctor Strange and Civil War.
I do.
Yeah, so do I, to be fair.
Doctor Strange, I love Civil War. But let's not discuss about my dislike of Civil War.
Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, let's not go there. Toby, if I give you a phrase, can you say it in German, please?
I can. Yes, I think.
Okay, The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe is a good episode. Could you say that in German, please?
I would leave, but it's too much of a hassle to leave and come back.
No, but the thing is, I think he's going to say in German that The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe is shit. Like as a joke. Just to play us.
Oh, okay. The episode in German is called Sternenhimmel, which translates to star sky.
Interesting.
Strange.
The translations really make sense because we did the God Complex review with you, Toby, and I think it turned out to be like the God Complex in German translated to something like Greek, like mythology and stuff like that, so it fit. And then the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe is very like star sky. The whole plot is like stars in the sky, acid rain, stars fly out in the sky and into her head. So again, that translation makes sense. I love German. German's cool.
Can you imagine if the God Complex was actually translated to something like Hotel Hell?
That sounds like a very bad knockoff movie.
Well, it's a TV show with Gordon Ramsay.
I love that TV show. What am I on about? Yes. So could you please say that phrase, Toby?
Die Doctor Who Episode Sternenhimmel ist sehr, sehr gut.
Yes, he said good. I thought he was going to say Scheiße or something. I was like, no, please don't. Okay, thank you, Toby. So Jamie, how do you respond to that in French?
Because I took French GCSE doesn't mean I'm any good at it.
Anyway, so that wraps up our thoughts on the Return of Dr. Mysterio. I didn't really give my thoughts, but I'm just gonna say I liked it. Capaldi, good. Let's go into the next one. I will screen share.
Okay.
Can you see that? Yes, you can. Right.
How many levels deep is that?
Let's count it. 1, 2.
Oh, no, we don't have the time to.
5, it goes into Hotel Hell.
We don't have time to count it.
No! Toby, don't say that. Okay, next up. Oh, of course it doesn't spin automatically when I click remove that time, of course. There we go.
Spin that wheel!
You almost forgot there.
But only once.
Voyage of the Damned. Right, it didn't do it that time. So, Jamie, do you want to go first this time, and then I'll go after you, then Toby? Or spin things around.
All right. If seeing as this isn't including things like Big Finish, because if it did, then Chimes of Midnight would be my favorite Christmas special. But because it's not, Voyage of the Damned is my favorite Christmas special.
Win.
So, yeah. Let me just. It's kind of weird to like explain why, but I suppose it. I know it may seem hypocritical as I was like criticizing the Snowmen for its like corniness, but I feel like the camp in Voyage of the Damned works better here than in the Snowmen, because the Snowmen, I don't know. I just for some reason I prefer it here. I also just like the whole disaster movie plot line, I guess. It's basically a Doctor Who remake of the Poseidon Adventure, and I love it.
You see, that went straight on my watch list because I went straight to IMDb after because I watched it in November. I was doing like a podcast edit, and then while I was waiting for that to render, I chucked Voyage of the Damned on, and I loved it. And I thought, this again has dated, because there are a couple moments where you think that would, the way I saw it when I was watching it, I was like, if this wasn't Doctor Who, would I like it as much? Because that's how I try to make something like objective. I say, if this was Doctor Who, I hadn't watched it before, what would I think? And I thought, oh, that was a bit naff, that was a bit naff, that was a bit poorly edited or whatever, bad CGI. And I think, yes, objectively, it may not be a 5 out of 5, but I would still give it a 5 out of 5 because I bloody love the episode. And it's not my number one, because we're going to get to the leaderboards later, but it's very, very high up. And I think it's the perfect... First of all, it was criticized by the last surviving Titanic survivor because it kind of comicalized that tragedy, I guess. But then you have to think about the scale. And I think something like that is why Russell probably wrote it, because it was so, bold, I think the word is. Would you describe it as bold? Yeah, it's a bold...
Space Titanic, what's more bold than that?
Exactly, and like the end about it crashing into Buckingham? Yeah, Buckingham Palace, and then slightly going above at the very end. Yeah,
Thank you, Doctor. Merry Christmas.
You see, that was a dreadful line. I hate that. But I find that, like, the parallels, because there's a few parallels between Voyage of the Damned and The End of Time. The biggest one is like the Doctor flying a spaceship into like Earth's atmosphere. Like
that's not really Voyage of the Damned's fault. That's more End of Time's fault for being unoriginal.
Oh, of course, but there are some other things in there in terms of The End of Time that takes it from Voyage of the Damned. Of course, there's the Alonso stuff as well. Alonso. Now, Toby, what do you think of Voyage of the Damned?
I really like Voyage of the Damned. I'm not negative this time. I think it has one of the tightest sidecasts in Doctor Who. A lot of the characters, we only have, I don't know how long the special is, I think 60 minutes?
72. I think it's like 65. Oh, 72. Wow, 72.
72. In 72 minutes, I feel like I got to know every side character fully, full characterization. I really like, I don't know what her name is, but she's played by Kylie Minogue.
Astrid Peth.
Astrid, thank you. I really like her, and I wouldn't go to as far as some people say, oh, she should have been a companion. No, but I really liked her.
No, there's no way they could afford Kylie Minogue to be a companion.
I think
could you imagine?
I think they offered her, and then before her, it was like Sally Sparrow's actress. I always forget her name. Keely something Leslie, I don't know, but the woman who played Sally in Blink, she was also offered companion, but then she rejected it, and then it ultimately turned out to be Donna Noble in the next episode again. And I thought, oh, fair enough, and then of course the rest is history. But I'm really glad, Toby, you mentioned that, because when I was watching and like analyzing this episode, I realized that every single character, like side character, has an arc, and they all have a lot of development. And
except for Rickson.
You learn about his, what do you call it? The businessman side of him. The first time he's introduced, you hear him like doing his shares and whatever, and then at the end you learn about his shares, and then across the episode you learn about his ego, like
To me, he just starts as a dick and ends as a dick.
Yeah, sure.
He's got
For a story
with that arc. He's
everyone.
got the weakest one out of everyone.
Yeah, maybe no. I'd still say Foon is good. The whole 5,000 credit thing, I love that.
Yeah,
But
I love Morgan and Foon.
Out of nowhere, like how they could do robotics, that was so random and bizarre, but it fit the plot, and it was like, you know what, it's Christmas, I'll allow it.
Yeah, yeah. But can we all just agree to stand Mr. Copper?
Even though apparently the actor wasn't very nice,
Is he?
stand that. Right,
Oh well, let's move on.
sharing the
move on.
screen.
Let's
There we
spin
go.
that wheel.
Thank you, Jamie. Here we go. Huh. We were just speaking about it. It's the Runaway Bride. And Toby in the background gives a massive sigh. Why did you sigh, Toby?
No, it was because I just thought about myself talking about Christmas Invasion. I just thought, oh no, I'm gonna be negative again. But Runaway Bride, I'm gonna be positive.
Yes!
I'm gonna be positive again because I recognize that a lot of people take issues with the story because let's be honest, the plot is not the best. It's
You're a pencil instead of a mug.
I just need to drink a little bit. Oh. And I get some of the holes in the plot that are there, and just some things that didn't work. But I just think it's very fun, and you know, all this chemistry between Donna and the Doctor. I just have fun with it, and like it's the reverse Doctor Mysterio for me. Like I think both plots are weak, but with Runaway Bride, I get the jokes, I'm in with the joke, I have fun, and I laugh at it. And with Dr. Mysterio, I just don't get the jokes, and then it falls apart.
Fair enough. There are some really hilarious moments, and like how like Tennant is so quick talking, and I think again he really. I'll get into it more when we talk about the Christmas Invasion, but as I was watching this Christmas specials, you can clearly see the development in his performance. Like the different, if you watch the Christmas Invasion back to back with the End of Time, the difference in performance is uncanny. Tennant is so incredible in the End of Time, where he's all right in the Christmas Invasion, but he's far weaker than how he ends. So you can
To
see.
be fair, Doctor Who was like one of his first TV roles.
Same with Matt Smith, but I think he knocked it out of the park with his first Christmas special.
Well,
But by that point, he had a series by that point.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and before you
this
say about Power, it was Time of Angels first, but even then, he was still good in Time of Angels.
He was incredible in the Time of Angels, yeah. But I get your point. But as for me, before I go to you, Jamie, I'm just in awe with the motorway scene still. I think that holds up so well. I think if that would not feel out of place in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was literally gonna comment on it.
Yeah, go for it.
Motorway scene's great. Kids' reaction is great. CG is great. I like everything except for the plot. Like Toby, don't like the Arachnos. Find them kind of dumb. Yeah, just silly, kind of over the top. I mean, I guess I can kind of forgive it as a generic Christmas villain, but also I love Donna. Don't get me wrong, but she's nowhere near as good as she is in Series 4.
She's a bit shouty, and I think that's a bit of a stereotype for her.
I just think because it was initially planned as just one Christmas special, that they obviously tried to go more into the comedy side with Catherine Tate and not really go deep into her character much.
Good point.
Because we have just a limited time, and they just probably thought just having a fun special, just very fun and very humorous.
Yeah.
And then when they obviously brought her back for Series 4, then they could explore all these other sides of Donna where they have the time to do that.
This guy's smart. Well, it was fun until the final 5 minutes where he commits genocide.
Yeah, that came way out of nowhere.
And it absolutely jars on me nowadays. Like, back in the day when I was a kid, I was like, oh my god, this is epic. Doctor Who is amazing. This episode is amazing. Nowadays, I just think that completely jars against the tone of the episode, which was very much...
Yeah, it would have killed him. If Donna wasn't there to just be like, hey, stop standing there doing nothing, then you would die. That's like my least favorite part of Turn Left. Like, really, the Doctor would have died there because he was just standing around moping there, and Donna was what made him not mope anymore.
What I think is very funny is that yes, this scene just doesn't work at all in this tone of the Christmas special. But if you take a look at the overall arc of the Doctor, especially starting around series 4, and then in the specials, which we also have Waters of Mars, then the end scene, and I think that is not the beginning, but like one of the earlier instances of the 10th Doctor snapping out. And I don't know if this was planned before, and I don't think it was, if I'm going to be honest. But in retrospect, it is very interesting to see that.
Because I think there was, ironically, in the Waters of Mars, when he does stand up on Mars, like after the big explosion, there is like a flashback or like a flash audio back to this episode. I think there's a little bit of dialogue that is said and repeated. So maybe there was a plan, but it's just all one thing that just makes me less excited for the Russell T Davies 2 era. Just because if you go back and watch his Christmas specials, they're not very Christmassy. They're all in some way epic and not the Moffat Christmas in terms of it's Die Hard Christmas instead of Home Alone Christmas, if you get what I mean. And I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is the Runaway Bride.
Spin that wheel.
Oh no.
You're getting later and later with this. Oh, the Christmas invasion. Before I get to Toby, I'm going to quickly give my thoughts. I think it hasn't aged particularly well. I think it's still a good episode. I think if you've rewatched this recently, or at least recently-ish, you'll notice some of the color grading is awful / non-existent, especially in Rose's house. Like, you have some moments that are clearly color graded, and then you have like this really grainy shots of Rose, and it's just jarring. So yeah, this gets really good at the 15-minute mark. The first 15 minutes are a bit, you can take it or leave it. It's emotive, but you have to wait to get there. As I said on Leaderboards in my review, I think it actually gets really good when the blood control starts getting introduced, and they all go to the top of the roofs. I think that's where the episode holds its weight, and I think that's where it gets really good. But before that, it's a bit and of course we get introduced to Harriet Jones and stuff.
Harriet Jones, Prime Minister.
Yes, we know who she is, Jamie. And the editing wasn't as tight as I would have liked it to be, and that was a detriment on the actors. The actors paid the price for the poor direction and the editing.
But at least it wasn't Vanquish's level of editing.
Oh, the Vanquishers, I'm reviewing that tomorrow. I cannot be asked to rewatch that. Oh God. The editing in that episode is borderline. No, it is. It's literally amateur. I could do that.
I could have probably edited better than that, and I use iMovie.
Exactly. Like, who wants next? First person to speak goes.
Oh, I go next.
Oh, there we go.
I wanted to hear Toby's thoughts first.
I think once we get up on that spaceship, this episode is really good and really fun. Yeah. But before that, I think I would not find anything that I really like. Like, not at all. Maybe Harriet Jones. I like her.
The rooftop scene?
No.
Oh, fair.
I just think it feels a bit cheap for me. Like, just I don't know.
My opinions change like all the time. Like, sometimes I love it. Sometimes I find it sometimes I'm kind of middling. At the moment, I'm just kind of middling. Like, first half, I could do without it. Last half, I love the sword fight. I love the No Second Chances and everything. Yeah. I love Harriet Jones. I love the music. But yeah, the first half is just
Fair enough. Should we move on to the next one?
Yes.
Let's move on.
Here we go. Jamie,
spin that wheel.
There you go. My heart is about to be shattered. So basically, yesterday when I was reviewing Home Alone franchise with my friend Theo, because he knows I like this episode and he also hates this episode like you guys do, obviously, by the sounds of it. And he said, when you get to this episode, tell him I find it shit. And so I'm just going to say it now.
My man.
It's shit. So basically, my heart is about to be absolutely shattered by Jamie explaining why he dislikes this episode. Go, Jamie.
I think the biggest crime it commits is that it's boring as balls. Honestly.
Oh, what?
No, seriously. When I rewatched this last year, there was a pen next to me, and like around 20 minutes into the episode, I picked up the pen.
This pen?
No, it's like after around 20 minutes, I picked up the pen, and then 5 minutes later, I just started clicking it, and then I was just focusing on clicking the pen because that was more entertaining.
Okay.
I think that just sums it up perfectly.
Okay. I don't like this episode, but I'm not negative about it, for one thing.
Ooh.
I totally appreciate what this episode was trying to do. This more like fairy tale, in quote unquote fairy tale, but like more magical style approach. And I think for what it was trying to do, it did that good. It did that approach good, and I totally see why people who are into this approach also like this episode very much. I'm just not into this approach, and it just doesn't get to me.
I'm glad you're at least somewhat neutral. But then, as me, like the 11 stan, I just love how he's going through the house in like a hectic mood, and he's like hammocks, and then he jumps on the hammocks, and then I just love it. And then
it reminds me of when my dad fell off a hammock once, because that was quite funny.
So yeah, this is the only episode. Well, not the only episode, but this is the episodes that all my cousins really like, and they are pretty young, so I guess it buys into the whole fairy tale kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can understand younger children liking it.
Yeah, like it is a really enjoyable, and this is the one that keeps them quiet in terms of if they're being disruptive. Chuck this episode.
Oh, okay, best episode ever if it keeps little kids quiet.
But yeah, but while I'm also watching it with them, I just see the magic going into their eyes, and it's just like beautiful. And I think it's a beautifully constructed episode. And I can see the flaws. I can see I think there are flaws, particularly towards the end with the mother. I don't think Claire Skinner was particularly good.
Can I just say this?
Yeah, go for it.
Can I just say this? Okay, a big problem I have with the story is there's this big plot of that World War II this World War II pilot. He's a father of two, and he dies, and the mother doesn't want to reveal it. So we've got this like serious emotional story completely juxtaposed with this happy-go-lucky magical adventure, and it just really leaves a bad taste in my mouth, honestly.
But then the whole subplot is her going through the forest to save her kids from becoming a widow and also childless.
Yeah, I know, but it still just feels really off to me.
I disagree with that. I think it's, for me, it does not feel off, because I think the intent behind that is like she is trying to, because it's a horrible message, she's just trying to give them a happy time and a good time before telling them that. And I think this adventure is just representing this good time, happy time. Well, it's also a little dramatic from time to time, because just happy is boring, but it's trying to symbolize this more like happy magical time, Christmas time. Well, and afterwards she's intending to give the message.
Yeah, like he's the one, the doctor is always the one like trying to give them the happy time, and she's kind of like being broken down by that, and then she eventually snaps, and then she comes to with that. Yeah. And then when she loses her children, she wants them back at the fear of losing another member of her family, and I just thought that was a beautiful story. And then the ending, while it is a bit naff, that like the pilot guided them through the time vortex, like that's ridiculous. But the ending, they're reunited. Yeah, it's fair enough. But when they're reunited, that's nice. And then the final scene, I won't get personal, but it's a really beautiful, touching scene to me personally.
That's the only scene I like. I know I said like the hammock scene.
I think a lot of people say that. Yeah, like the final scene makes it watchable, I guess, to a lot of people. But the final scene is beautiful. I love it to pieces, and it's
when the final scene showed up, I put down my pen.
So you stopped clicking just as you knocked on the door, did you? Nice.
Yes, I did.
Good, because that is a beautiful scene. Does it make you tear up?
I don't think it makes me tear up, but then again, not that many things. When I say I cry at Jericho's death, I didn't actually cry. That was more of that's an exaggeration. So no, I didn't.
But you still felt emotion towards it.
Yeah, I felt emotion to it, but I didn't cry. It's not something like the opening of Up or anything.
Oh yeah, the first 5 minutes of Up is incredible. So yeah, that wraps up The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. Not too negative, which I'm surprised by. Thank God. Screw you, Jamie.
I tried to keep it down because I know you like it, and I didn't want to be a negative Nancy.
I mean, yeah, this is coming out like 4 days before Christmas, so that would be very mean. Next.
Spin that wheel! Ooh, this one's an interesting... Or is it?
Ooh. Oh,
okay.
It was going to land on that. It landed on the Husbands of River song. So now I'm going to be the negative one.
No!
No!
Yes!
No!
Now you know how it feels. Now you know how it feels to have something you love shat on. I don't think Alex Kingston was very good in this until... Look, I don't think anything in this episode is particularly good until the final 5 minutes where they're on the Viridium.
Fair enough.
I think it's terribly directed. I think there's some bits that are so cringe where she goes around the operating bed and she addresses these TV screens that are obviously green screen and that's supposedly her people, but it's just such a cringe performance from Alex Kingston. And when they're on the spaceship, just before it's revealed that this old man is the Doctor, she's doing this monologue and I think it dwells on one shot and one angle for way too long, and I just think cringe, and it's too Christmassy for its own good. Like the whole...
That's the guy who likes Doctor the Window Wardrobe.
No, but I love the fairy tale-esque of this.
Yeah, but it is too Christmassy though.
Is it? That's just harmless fun. This is trying to do plotting, but cringely. Well, I don't know. You defend it. I've said my piece.
Well, I agree with you that the ending is beautiful, and yeah, I do love it. This is what puts it so high in my eyes. But I just personally just find it fun, to be honest. Just overall, I just think 12 and River have good chemistry, and I just like the more unique story they did with them, and also you may not like most of it, but can we agree that 12's reaction to the TARDIS was gold?
Oh yeah, when it gets. Gah! I was just laughing so much. Yeah, it's such an awesome moment. And that was well directed as well. It was going around, and as the spinny things at the top of the TARDIS console span, the camera did as well. I must have been attached to it. But yeah, I love that particular moment.
Also, didn't he say in that scene, I want more of those round things? I just love that as well.
It's such a frustrating one because I want to enjoy it and I want to love it, but aside from a few moments, I just think it's dragged tremendously up in people's estimations just because of that final 5 minutes. I think if you take away the final 5 minutes, you've got yourself a bad episode that doesn't have much going for it, in my opinion. Toby, you would disagree then?
I disagree, totally. First of all, agree on this last minutes they read. I really like the comedy in this. It's always like this. When the comedy in a funny episode just doesn't work for you, then an episode just often falls apart, and I can totally get that. But for me, the comedy in this works. I think the story is decent enough to carry the comedy with it. I really like the monologue moment because
I must be the only one who doesn't, to be fair. So yeah, fair play.
I mean, yeah,
because I
comedy is subjective. I mean, you've said in the Big Screen podcast you're not too big on comedy.
You mean horror?
No, didn't you say horror and comedy?
Oh, you might be right. Yeah, I don't watch much comedy, to be fair.
I do.
Yeah. I know you do. But go on, carry on, Tobi.
And I think I also really like River with 11, but with 12, it's the first time I feel they're really giving love energy between them. Because 11 and River was more flirty, and it was fun, but I never really bought the idea of 11 and River being really a couple for real. It was more let's flirt a little, have fun, more kooky and everything. And it was a fun take, but with 12 and River, and especially because we have in Silence of the Library, like she says, was it in Silence of the Library? She somewhere said we referred to one doctor being her doctor. I don't know what episode this was from.
You're right. I think it's the first part of that two-parter.
Oh yeah, I know. She said she got the screwdriver from her doctor.
Yeah,
I think it was and obviously it's the 12th Doctor because they have this more lovely chemistry and not just flirting with each other. Obviously also flirting, but in a huge part also just more couple chemistry, I would say, especially in the ending, but also in this monologue scene. I also really like that River knows her boundaries with her relationship with the Doctor and recognizes that this relationship is totally unusual and not normal, and she respects these boundaries that not also she has, but also the Doctor has.
But actually, no. I don't hope she comes back just because her arc is done.
Yeah, I hope she doesn't come back. If she's going to come back, she should be in Big Finish, and she's done that a lot.
Exactly. And again, a lot of people, you can just ignore Big Finish if you wanted to. Like, you could just stick to the TV show and live a happy life like I am. But, I will eventually delve into that, but it doesn't really affect...
Well, if you want to experience the best Christmas special, then Chimes of Midnight is where you need to go.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Next one?
One thing I want to say, I also don't really go too much into Big Finish personally. I just want to say.
Yeah, there's, what's that really popular Cyberman one? Because that's the only one I've watched. Spare Parts. I've seen Spare Parts.
Is it the one with the 8th Doctor?
No, it has the 5th Doctor.
No. Okay, I just remember one Cyberman story with the 8th Doctor in, like, I don't know, somewhere in the past. Yeah, that's something.
Sword of Orion, it's not very good.
I didn't like it. I don't know how other people think of it.
Yeah, Sword of Orion's kind of mixed. Anyway, let's spin that wheel.
There we go.
Oh, the controversial one.
Oh my god, the sexist Doctor! Oh my god! 1 out of 10! No. 8 out of 10. Very good character piece. If you watch the First Doctor's era, you will realize that the sexist moments are actually extracted from First Doctor episode moments. The First Doctor...
We have this exact debate somewhere. I feel like
they are taken from First Doctor moments, but the context of Twice Upon a Time does make them come off as worse, but
yes,
I still like Twice Upon a Time, don't get me wrong.
Also because we already had this debate, and I'm pretty sure we both had, and I remember I said that yes, their quotes are from the First Doctor, but also they are exaggerated, out of context, and they're, I feel, placed in a way that just paints a picture that didn't need to be painted. Like, you didn't have to portray the First Doctor like that. That was a choice to portray him like that. And I wish they didn't do that choice. Even though
I hate what they did with the First Doctor there, like most people. But everything they did with the 12th Doctor is amazing.
Yes,
agreed.
Yes,
and I think
so. It's a very mixed bag, I'd say.
But I full circle towards the end though, with the
the ending leans it more towards good,
and it's such a beautiful end as well. Like how it was shot as well is really beautiful.
I think the First Doctor thing is just the only thing I really don't like about this episode. Everything else, and the
Clara green screen.
Oh, the Clara green screen.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was done in the Top Gear production office, by the way.
That
just
was a thing.
Random trivia.
Surprisingly,
it was there, but yeah.
It's even worse than the grey screen from Revolution.
You see, Grace was awful in different reasons because they just added loads of lens flare to hers.
Well, what do you expect? It's Chibnall.
Yeah, to mask the green screen, they were like, lens
He loves his lens flare.
But yeah, Twice Upon a Time, I like it. Not a very good Dalek story, but it's not really a Dalek story. It's a testimony story. And that is like cool, but testimony is basically just known as what got Bill back, really. Like it's a character piece other than like a villain piece.
But I will say this, like, I do really like this episode, but after seeing Sherlock, I feel like Gatiss in Who, he's good in the roles he has, but I feel like he could have been better in both the roles he had.
I mean, he had quite a few in Doctor Who, like 4, but the two main ones,
The only one I can think of is Lazarus Experiment and Twice Upon a Time.
He was in Victory of the Daleks, and he was also in the Wedding of River Song.
I don't remember him in them.
He was Danny Boy. Oh, he was technically in a Good Man Goes to War as well.
Wait, he was Danny Boy?
He played Danny Boy.
Oh, I did not know that.
And you know Gantok, the chess player in Wedding with River Song.
Oh yeah.
He played him as well. Heavy prosthetics. But yeah, besides the point, Toby, go.
Yeah, I think this episode, the plot of this episode is quite messy, and I think a lot of things are unanswered or vaguely answered. But there is a good way to go about this. There's a bad way to go about it. I think Twice Upon a Time did this in a good way, in a way where you're like, okay, I don't know anything, not anything. I don't know everything. That's what I wanted to say. There are a lot of open ends, but it works in that field. And another recent story that had an ending or just a plot that has a lot of vaguely or not answered questions didn't do this well.
I
What could this be?
I wonder what you're on about.
Is it the one that shall not be named because we'll probably get slaughtered? Oh yeah, The Last Jedi.
I mean, let's not go there because the Star Wars fans will literally eat you alive. They'll be like,
Yeah, I
"Oh
know,
my
especially
God."
if I say I like that movie. Anyway,
Jesus Christ. Okay. So
spin that wheel.
spin
Spin it quickly.
Blimey, we're sticking with the Capaldi's Christmas specials, aren't we?
Okay.
Last Christmas, one that I didn't appreciate until last year actually, because I always thought it was quite bad, boring, and I liked it. I think it's the most adult Christmas special. I think it's the most consistently not jarring adult Christmas special. I think Moffat here at the park. I love the dream sequences where Clara's in the dream and the doctor's trying to get her out, and like the chalkboard where she like wipes and says you are dying. Really hard hitting actually. I think Jenna Coleman delivers a excellent performance. I think Danny Pink, who was the actor's name?
I don't know.
Samuel Anderson. I think Samuel Anderson really gave a performance in terms of he's there, but he's disassociated because that's who he's meant to be. He's meant to be there, but a false perspective of him. So it's not meant to be him there, but he is there for us to see and for Clara to see, but he's not there. And I think he does that so superbly. And I'm not sure if it's solely on the performance or if it is the way it was directed and edited and written. And I just think I appreciate it a lot more. I do find the final 10 minutes a bit naff. I think there's one too many twists towards the end.
Yes.
Like when they wrap up the stuff with the dream crabs and stuff, you don't need the doctor to run back and say, oh no, we're in a dream inside a dream inside a dream inside a dream.
The old Clara stuff really annoys
Yes.
me. It's just pointless. Like,
It
what
was pointless.
is the point of it? It's not like she was staying in a dream to be with Danny, is it? It's like because she's still in denial about his death or anything. No, she's just staying in the dream to be with Santa. I mean, yeah, Santa's great and all, and Nick Frost is great, but why?
And you know the sleigh scene where it's like every Christmas is last Christmas and you have that really long scene. I just think whilst it's nice, first of all, Christmas Carol did it better with the shark, in my opinion, and second of all, that is really it gets quite boring, but it kind of, I think that buys into the being like resistant to waking up because you don't want it to end, so you drag it out, and I think that works, but it's still again pretty.
This could have been 45 minutes.
It could have been. I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, I pretty much just explained my criticisms of it there. I just don't like old Clara, and it feels way too long. But I do like the idea of the dream crabs. I mean, I love Alien, so it reminds me of the facehuggers, and they even reference it with a funny line.
Yeah.
Nick Frost is great as usual, but I to be honest, Danny Pink is my least favorite character in Who. So just seeing him at all is just like, oh, go away.
Did you like Awesome Pink in Listen?
Slightly less insufferable.
Sure.
Okay, significantly less insufferable because there's no dumb romance thing with
To be
him.
fair, I think the tone of that episode just excels. It's not to do with Awesome Pink and Samuel Anderson. It's more to do with the writing in that episode.
Yeah, nothing against Samuel Anderson. It is just the writing of Danny Pink, which is what makes me detest him.
Yeah, I agree. He's probably the weakest link in Series E, I'd say.
Yeah.
He ruined Series A personally.
I agree. But yeah, let's move on to Toby. Toby, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think if we would have cut out the last, I don't know how many minutes are there when all this in the last minutes were like, oh, here's a twist, another twist, twist, everything is brilliant combined, which Moffat tends to do quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I
And
think,
Chibnall, to be fair. Well, yeah, so why are we going on tangents about Chibnall? This is like the one video where we wouldn't talk about Chibnall because he's got no Christmas specials.
Yeah, happy
Yeah,
Christmas, Christian, or if you're listening to this. Sorry for wrecking your Christmas. Ironically,
You've wrecked my
you guys-
Christmas. You've been wrecking my Christmas since 2017 or 2018 or whichever year you
The
count. as.
ironic thing is, like, Russell T Davies is like coming back, and one of the first things he's apparently done is commissioned Christmas specials. So apparently
Nice.
Christmas specials are coming back.
love it.
So Chibnall could have done Christmas specials, but he chose not to. And
I mean,
Yeah.
Twice Upon a Time just exists because Moffat wanted to keep the Christmas
Well,
special,
yeah, I think
and Chibnall just screwed him over
the end,
completely.
like what do you call it? The Doctor Force could be such an excellent
Yeah,
it could
two-part
have been.
end for Capaldi.
Yeah, it
And,
could have.
was
Like
perfect.
that was the one time I didn't want a Christmas special. But I mean, I would have liked a Christmas special, but I would have liked it to be the start of Jodie instead.
Exactly. But yeah.
Anyway, let's.
Such a shame.
Anyway, Toby, man, what were we
what-
saying about last Christmas?
Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
go, Toby.
I was talking about all these twists in the end. Don't really make sense, if I'm gonna be honest. But if you cut out these last minutes, like just a moment where everyone gets dropped off and just say, okay, we end it here, then I think this episode is really, really good and I really, really like it. And I usually am able to just blend out the last minutes because it's just asterisks in the end that I just ignore exists. I just deny
just fast
its
forward it.
existence. It just doesn't exist. It never happened. It was just a dream. It never happened.
The whole. I mean, I guess you could just blame the dream crabs for any episodes you don't like. It's just a dream, never happened, or for any episodes like which mess with canon, like Hellbent.
So what we're essentially saying is this episode is good, but it could have been great if it wasn't for Moffat being bad.
It is still great.
No, not bad. Just
but,
getting a bit
up
excited.
himself.
I think.
Yeah.
I think he got a bit too excited.
It is still great, but it could have been perfect for me if it were the last minute. It
This
just
isn't the Moffat I
cha-
remember. this
changed
one.
the picture a bit. But I instead of this, I really love this special, and I think everything else he does with the crabs, these twists, and how they discover it, I think that's really clever and really works well. But just in the end, he just got too full of himself and just wanted to do more. And
I
then
don't know
it
what I would do if I had crabs.
Yeah.
I have a fear of crabs, so yeah.
I mean, you should. No one wants crabs. So, Jamie, would you like to do the honors? Final three now.
Oh, I thought there was only two left.
Three, my friend. Carry on.
Spin that wheel. Blah, blah, blah. We gotta hurry up now.
No, we did. We got 40 minutes.
Oh! I think my clock's out of sync then.
It's 18.
Hey, it's the fresh one. Because I watched this. I watched this literally yesterday.
It's
so,
the best Christmas special, Jamie.
Not the best,
Ooh,
but not bad.
that's very broad.
But
Specify.
okay, it's good. In fact, it's great, but it's not the best.
Yeah, that narrative. I'd say it's very good.
Top
Borderline
five.
great.
Top five, I'd say.
I'd agree. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
quite perfect. It fits the tone of Christmas. It's not like too. Well, ironically, you guys said the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe was too Christmassy. I'd say A Christmas Carol is the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe Christmassy times by 10. Like it literally is
It's
a
less
Christmas
cheap,
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
fair enough.
I will admit, the fish is like it's something you could really only get away with at Christmas. Just the flying fish. It's
And
like,
also like the projection of the what do you call it? The passengers singing. That was a bit.
Yeah. and some of the admittedly, some of the CGI for the shark was a bit not very good.
I thought it was alright. But yeah, I get what you mean. I do like the fish. I think, again, this is Matt Smith's best first performance after seeing the reaction to Series 5. And I think it was Moffat, it was during the lockdown watch-along things, where I think it was like Moffat who said, again, just what I said, it was his first one after seeing all the audience reaction to his performance in Series 5, and it was overwhelmingly positive. So this was the episode where he went out with the most confidence, and I think you can tell because the very first shot they filmed where he came out of the fireplace, and he's just like blurting out his lines at a really quick pace. You can understand him, you can sympathize with him, you can like really get behind his motivations and his character, and you love him. You watch him with a smile on your face. and he just exerts the confidence in this episode.
I don't know why, but that scene of him in the fireplace just reminded me of the film Rise of the Guardians, and I don't know why.
I haven't seen it.
It's like an animated film where it's basically like essentially like Santa, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy were like heroes, like save people from the boogeyman.
Maybe.
Wait a minute. What was the movie called? I think I know this.
It's like the boogeyman was the one who gave people nightmares and stuff. Anyway, that's irrelevant.
I know this movie. It's just completely quite different.
It's got Hugh Jackman as the Easter Bunny.
Talking about actors and being good, Michael Gambon is really good as Kazric Sardik.
Did Michael Gambon also play his dad?
I believe he did.
No, I wasn't too sure about that.
95% certain. Like the 5% is making me think maybe it was his dad playing it, but no, I do believe it was Michael Gambon with prosthetics. So yeah, he was very good. Matt Smith was very good. Something I noticed the other day was Amy and Rory didn't get like a proper Christmas special. In their 2 Christmas specials, they were always sidelined.
Oh yeah.
For a more like Doctor Light episode, which I just noticed like recently, and I thought a bit of a shame how they didn't get a proper Christmas outing. But it allows for like a companion light episode, I suppose, and I appreciate that. And I think that's why I like the Snowmen so much, because it's a Christmas special that has a Doctor and companion at their very best, whereas all the others don't have a companion, or in the case of Tom and the Doctor, it's more focused on the regeneration. And yes, and Clara's kind of sidelined, so you don't see much of Clara with the Doctor in Tom and the Doctor. So yeah, I think that's why I gravitated towards the Snowmen so much. But yeah, besides the point, Toby, why do you like why do you hate A Christmas Carol? I don't know.
No, I don't hate A Christmas Carol. I think A Christmas Carol is very odd for me, because it shouldn't be a story that I enjoy, because it does everything that I don't enjoy in watching a story, but this somehow flicks it together for me to make it work, to have it fun, and I really like the story. And honestly, I can't say much about it, because I honestly don't know what it is that works for me. It just does for some way. I just think it gives enough often sci-fi spin to it that it just makes it fun. Enough for me to enjoy it. Where other specials focus more on being Christmassy than
I think
sci-fi.
the words you were looking for there when you said sci-fi is Moffatty. It's like it's literally the arc of Amy in series 5 and also Renette in The Girl in the Fireplace, but just done again. You know, this whole timey-wimey.
Yeah.
We found Moffat out eventually, but I still think Moffat is a very talented writer. I think he's the most. He's better than Russell T Davies as a Doctor Who writer, in my opinion.
I think he's
Is he a better showrunner? Probably not.
Yeah,
Better
I
writer?
think he's probably the best writer in Modern Who, but not the. But I think I think he's a better writer than showrunner.
But the thing is, you have to give him credit because he was juggling Sherlock and Doctor Who at the same time throughout his tenure.
Yeah, I mean, no one was forcing him to, though, but still.
True.
But to be honest, I do admit, Sherlock Series 2 and 3 is better than Doctor Who Series 7 and 8.
I thought you were going to say Series 6 there, and I would have killed you.
No.
Series 6 is great.
But Sherlock is amazing.
I find it really hard to compare these two, because they have such a different approach to Doctor Who, and Moffat is more sci-fi time to have a futuristic if you want to, and Russell T Davies is more soap. Yeah, that's it. More soap, more lighthearted, more quote unquote fun, like fun with like just good times, good vibes.
To be honest, my biggest criticism with RTD is some of the humor's a bit hit and miss, like the bin burping, for God's sake.
That was my biggest fear when he came back. I was like, I don't want him to be a soap again. I want him to come back with.
But the thing is, the reason I'm excited for RTD is because he has developed as a writer.
Yes, exactly. And just to say one more thing, and Moffat is more to the lighthearted side. Moffat is more dark, twisty, thoughtful. No, thoughtful is the wrong word.
Oh, I'd say so.
Psychological, more.
Psychological, yeah.
He's very psychological, but I will say I've seen better psychological thrillers than.
Yeah, obviously, but it's more his approach. That was I meant.
Yeah.
I mean, Listen is a fantastic episode of Doctor Who, my favorite episode ever. So yeah, big up Listen. Right.
Random question: do you prefer Listen or Interstellar?
You evil, conniving man.
Listen.
My favorite movie or my favorite episode of my favorite television show. Oh, Jamie, that's a conundrum.
Keep that in mind.
And not a very good question while we're trying to time keep.
Keep that in mind, and then you can answer it at the end.
It's listen for me.
It's on pod.
I remember it being better than
Jamie,
2001.
say it!
Oh, spin that wheel. One of these is good, one of these is bad. And the next Doctor is goo bad.
I thought you were going to say the time of the Doctor was bad, and then the next Doctor... Wait, what? Oh, no, that's just the last one. Okay, so next Doctor. Tobi,
it's not bad.
Okay, next Doctor.
Jimmy.
Wait, do I start?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the next Doctor is overhated. Like, a lot of people think do the next Doctor very dirty, but it's like, oh, it's so worse. It's like one of the worst episodes. I've heard this a lot, and I disagree with that. I think the next Doctor serves a good, mediocre story. It's fine. It's fun. I think in some moments, it's just very average, very mediocre, very average, and it doesn't do much wrong. But it also doesn't do much right. It's just it gives a solid story, executes this story solidly, and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly watchable.
You see, that's the same kind of opinion I've had the entire time. It's like whenever I think of bad RTD stories, I always use like the next Doctor as an example, just because it is one of its weaker ones, even though I've never really thought it was bad. And like
the RTD era is generally so, like, in my opinion, it's just generally so high on average that I gotta take what you can get.
Yeah, but like Morrissey, I think he's a very good actor, and I've seen him in a lot of other stuff like crime dramas and whatever, and I think he's brilliant. But with Doctor Who, I think his story was, whilst it was good, it was done in just so far before like the threat got going properly. So for the first half hour, you had all the Morrissey stuff, and then for the final half hour, you had 95% of the Cyberman stuff, and you could have like interlinked it like in the edit, so it kind of spread it out. As a result, the first half hour kind of dragged with some.
I prefer the first half hour, to be honest.
You can't remember it.
I kind of prefer the first half hour because of all the Jackson Lake stuff.
Oh, there we go then. So you
and also the brief scenes where the Cybermen do appear in the first half, I feel like are a lot more effective.
Why are their voices so much deeper?
I don't know. Here's a better question: why were the Cybermen in this episode?
Yeah.
Because who else would have taken away Jackson Lake's memories? There had to be a villain.
A new villain.
Yeah, a new villain that doesn't have too much to juggle along with. Like, I feel that the Cybermen are pulling the focus off the story. I feel like you're gonna bring the Cybermen for the
back.
nature of the Cybermen, because
better story.
I think the idea that the story is trying to explore, the plot it's trying to explore, it's perfectly fine for one episode, and just doesn't go anywhere beyond. Okay, cool, nice. We did this. We can put a mark on it, and don't have to do this kind of plot again.
And what you guys are saying is like really mad, because like it's what you're saying is true, but it's mad that Russell T Davies only used the Cyberman 3 times during his era, and this was the final time and the first one since like series 2. So like he really didn't use the Cybermen at all. Like the Cybermen haven't got a load of appearances.
With the exception of the series 10 finale, despite only using it 3 times, I think he used the Cybermen better than Moffat. But like I said, with the exception of the series 10 finale. Because that's the only good Moffat Cyberman story in my eyes. And by the way, Pandora opens
Darkwater Death Heaven is definitely not a good Cyberman story, but it's a good Missy Master story. The Cybermen are just kind of sidelined in this and have just a plot function that works, but isn't exact.
People say the Cybermen were sidelined by the Master and Missy in one of the Time Doctor Wars.
They really were not. No. Yeah.
If anything, the Master and Missy were sidelined by the Cybermen.
And the thing is, I think they're perfectly balanced, to be honest. But
by saying also.
Yeah, the series 2-parter with the Cybermen. I think.
Which one?
I think about the Age of Steel.
That one.
Okay. Yeah, that one. I think it's a really excellent episode, but not a really excellent Cyberman story, for the exact same reason why the series 8 finale 2-parter has an excellent first part, but it's still not a good Cyberman stories, because I think Dark Water is excellent. I don't think Age of Steel is excellent. But since the Age of Steel and Rise of the Cybermen, the Age of Steel, I think it is, that two-parter, considering that was what was introduced in the Cybermen to modern audiences, I think it did a good job of introducing them, but it didn't really show what they were capable of, in my opinion.
I have to majorly disagree there. But...
Sure, they converted a lot of people, but they were defeated very, not quickly because it was a two-parter, but easily, ultimately. Like, they were still converted when they were defeated. You know what I mean? They had no invasion afterwards.
I kind of like the idea that there was multiple factories around the world.
Yeah, and then they had to, like, go off and save it. And
so, Jake had to go and sort of, Jake and rest in peace, Mrs. Moore.
Mrs. Muller, don't say that name. Sure, but we're just talking about Bloody Age still. But yeah, the next Doctor.
It's better than this.
Oh, it's better than the next Doctor, absolutely. So, final one is...
I didn't give much thoughts on the next Doctor, but overall it's alright. Spin that wheel, I guess.
Yeah, we're spinning the wheel.
I bet you $100 it's Time of the Doctor, or £100 or whatever. It's Time of the Doctor.
It is
it's Time of the Doctor.
Basically, the most horniest regeneration story of modern Who.
Literally. If you're confused as to why, I'll give you 2 words: Tasha Len.
Tasha Lem, Naked Church, Clara. What do you call it? Invisible projective clothing.
The Emperor's New Clothes.
Spanking Clara. The Doctor being Clara's boyfriend.
I think this is, for me, this is the best way to describe Time of the Doctor. It's a mess, but it's kind of a beautiful mess until like the last 15 minutes where it's genuinely amazing.
I think it's good throughout, but it is just a bit like...
It's over cluttered.
Last time I would have agreed with you, but I do think I appreciate it because it doesn't spend too much time on everything, and I don't think it needs to. I used to think what you're thinking, but I just come to appreciate it for what it is, you know? And I think...
Can we all just dunk on the wooden Cyberman real quick?
Yeah. Like, the whole Truefield thing was very contradictory. Like, how did he send that pulse to the Cyberman if he couldn't send a pulse? Or if he couldn't lie? That was a bit weird. So yeah, bad wooden Cyberman.
Naughty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an excellent regeneration. It's very emotional. I think if he regenerated on the clock tower and that was it, I still think it would have been just as emotional as him doing the final speech.
Meeting up with Amy Pond, Matt Smith said, "Nice wig." Karen Gillan said, "You've got a nice wig too."
Yeah.
It's true though, they were both wearing wigs.
I love the line, like, your ears are like rocket fins. That's a great line. It's got some really good comedy. The comedy hits. I love Tennant. Well, I do love Tennant. I love Smith. Really good performance. I think Jenna is very much sidelined, but I think her coming back towards the end, where it's like the really old Doctor, and she says the Christmas cracker poem, that line was beautiful. And also how it was lit, because it kind of fades out and then it fades in with the light, in terms of, I think it's meant to be the crack in space and time, but how it's lit, you could interpret it to be like a fire stove, and I think that's perfect for like a Christmas special. So yeah, it was really warm, it was vibrant, it was a good episode. I wouldn't say it's particularly great, I wouldn't say it's bad, because it quote unquote overcrammed. I think it's not harmless, but I think it's fun. Maybe like a 7 out of 10 for me. It's good. What about you guys?
It's fun, and I love everything to do with the regeneration. I am quite nostalgic towards it. Yeah, it's a good one.
Tobi?
I do like the stuff with the regeneration, and I do like the regeneration scene. I like all of that stuff, but the rest of the story just doesn't pick me up. But we talked about the beginning already, which was... interesting, to put it in.
Ding dong, I'm gonna have to look at a manual. I may be rusting in some areas.
Only 11, stop.
I love 11. It's so funny. Are we all in agreement that it's a good episode though?
Yeah.
No, I think I also don't like the stuff that comes afterwards. We already talked about that. It's kind of messy, and for me personally, it just doesn't work together as much as for you it worked apparently.
Again, I just want to reiterate, it's not excellent. It's just good, solid fun.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm nostalgic towards it because I watched it when it aired.
Yeah, I would say it has improved.
It was the first Christmas because I skipped out on the Snowmen because I was scared. This was the first Christmas special I watched when it aired.
I agree. I don't dislike the story actively like other stories on this list, but I just think of all the average stories we already had, this is the most not good. It's just I think it's messy. It just doesn't fit together for me, and I also don't like all this time crack stuff that happened, like in the end, this with the crack and the thing in the sky and all this stuff just doesn't work for me. I just see the scene happen and think that's just stupid. That just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, the crack in time is literally what it says it is. It's the crack in time, so it's got a feasibility. Whereas the end of time is literally just throwing a diamond into a projection.
Yeah, but
some of that makes it physical.
But the crack of time had the potential to be something better, while this just was just one stupid thing. Like, okay, whatever.
Sure, I think it wraps up in a nice parallel, like the callback to Series 5. But that wraps up the Spin the Wheel elements of this Christmas special of Spin the Wheel. Next up, we're going on to the fan leaderboard before we go on to our leaderboards.
We definitely need to pick up the pace for this.
Indeed we do, Jamie. Thank you for reminding me for the 10th time. But basically what the concept is I'm going to start playing a video and then I'm going to keep pausing it. And you guys have to guess what the people think. So basically what I've done to clarify, I asked people for their top 3 Christmas specials. And then I got a data sample of about 25 people. I think all in all, I did the math and more people replied and I was like, screw you all, I'm not including you. So there were about 40, but then I only did about 25. So sorry guys. But yeah, I asked for the top 3 and basically what this is I counted up the amount of mentions of each episode in people's top 3. So this isn't their favorite Christmas special. It's just the amount of times they featured in people's top 3. So any ideas to what the bottom place is before I start the video?
Doctor the Wind in the Wardrobe.
The foot, yeah. I think people don't really like this one.
I think it is by far the most least popular.
Yeah.
One,
okay.
It's a return of Dr. Mysterio.
Zero.
I can still understand though. I can
understand, but it's just, nobody liked it.
I think I didn't mention it, but in terms of actual Christmas specials, like Christmas with a capital C, this is probably the worst one because it's literally nothing to do with Christmas.
Yeah. Next up is the Next Doctor with 1 vote. I didn't ask you for your prediction for that one, but can you understand that one? I think.
Yeah, I can understand that one.
Yeah, okay, I can understand that, but I would not agree.
Yeah. What would you guys say a number 11 would be, considering those two?
Doctor would have to what?
Yeah, Doctor. We're gonna keep.
I'm just gonna say this again until it appears.
There we go.
Okay, good.
One person definitely wasn't me. Nah,
in what way? In what way is it better than the Next Doctor? Then what way
I think they both got 1 vote.
Yeah, they did both get 1 vote.
My bias dictates that somehow the same amount of votes gets it higher. But next up is the End of Time. Again, I didn't.
Perfectly understandable because it's an absolute mess.
I would have guessed that.
I think some people may not have mentioned it just because it's not really. They may not consider it like a Christmas special because one.
Yeah, people were to mention it. They probably only mentioned part 1.
Exactly. Any predictions for number 9?
I think maybe Last Christmas.
I say.
Interesting.
We had the Next Doctor already. I say the Snowmen. I think.
I remember the Snowmen being very popular.
Yeah, the Snowmen.
That was the reason I rewatched it.
Okay.
So no revisions there. This next one is, I don't even know the order now. Twice Upon a Time.
I was thinking Twice Upon a Time would be quite low.
I think it's just because of the sexist Doctor thing again, and it is a shame because I do think it is a really class episode.
I also can see that a lot of people maybe don't really work with the mess that this episode is. Like you have to be in on this mess or you are not into this mess. And if you are in, then it's great, and if you're not, then it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Next one has got to be the Series 8 Christmas special, Last Christmas.
No, I say the next one is what are we missing? Christmas Invasion, I think we didn't have.
Christmas Invasion. Okay, David Tennant's first. A really popular one in my opinion, but oh no, it's the time of the Doctor.
I thought more people would like this because more people had an emotional attachment to the story than I do.
The thing is, it's out of 13, so there's plenty below it, so it's not bad. Anything in like the top 8 or 9, I don't think top 8 is reasonable, but like the top 6 is where it really gets good in my opinion, in terms of like that's where the pinnacle of the Christmas specials are. Like I can't remember the order, but yeah, I think top 8 is reasonable, top 6 is good. Any guesses for number 7 now?
I'm gonna keep guessing Last Christmas.
Christmas Invasion.
For God's sake.
I'm going to keep at Christmas Invasion.
Oh, Tobi was right.
Tobi
1 point.
Tobi won.
Christmas Invasion and number 7 with 4 votes. Any guesses for number 6?
Last Christmas.
Last Christmas, I
Fuck's sake.
would go with that.
And number 6 is the Snowmen.
What? I really thought that'd be like number 1. Because there was an insane amount of people who put it in their top 3.
I know. I think, though, Jamie, it may just be because I've been being around you with the heads with how good that episode is that you just think, oh, the Snowmen.
It was more than it actually was.
Yeah. I think a lot of people mentioned it, but again, I didn't include some of the votes towards the end because I did the math and then I just didn't bother redoing it. So I think more people did vote for the Snowmen, and I think it would finish in the top 5, but right now it's at number 6 with 6 out of the 25 votes, which is fair enough. It's very strong, and that's again why I said number 6 is a really good performance and position. So any guesses for number 5? I wonder what it's going to be.
Last Christmas, I'm
guessing Husbands of River Song have given up now.
Thank God.
Yay!
Nice.
I didn't actually change it to Husbands of River Song. I was really voting for Last Christmas, but I just thought if I changed the vote, it would actually show up.
Mind control. Fair
And it
enough.
worked.
Yeah, Last Christmas, very popular one. Well, not very, but I think it was. It is very popular considering that. Yeah, it's gone up since it aired.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, seeing as it's Capaldi stands, I feel like Husbands of River Song will be quite high. So I think next will probably be something like Christmas Carol. Actually, Runaway Bride. Runaway Bride.
Tobi, what did you
Runaway Bride.
Okay, here we go then. And number 4 is the Runaway Bride.
3-1.
With a very respectable and a big jump of 9 votes now. We've shot.
Okay.
I think next will be either A Christmas Carol or Voyage of the Damned.
I say Christmas Carol. I think one of those two.
And number 3 is Voyage of the Damned.
I'm still technically correct. I said Voyage of the Damned or Christmas Carol.
Right, so the final 2 are the Husbands of River Song and A Christmas Carol. Which one do you think missed out?
I think number 2 is Husbands and number 1
I
is
think
Christmas
number
Carol.
2 is A Christmas Carol. I like an underdog win.
Right, that's your final bets. You're both going to disagree with each other. This makes it really interesting. Let's see who's won this. Drum roll, please. And number 2 is the Husbands of River Song with 10
Yay, I got it right.
I'll let it play out. A Christmas Carol with a whopping 15 votes.
I know that one's popular.
5 more votes than second place. And it just shows that A Christmas Carol is really, really popular.
I'm glad I turned around on that, basically.
I think we got the same amount of guesses correct.
Probably, yeah.
I was working out during post-production. But yeah, that was cool. I think it was very mixed and that was a nice bit of fun. So, I know Jamie...
10 minutes to do the rankings.
Yes, Jamie. So, would you like to go with your ranking first? From bottom to top or top to bottom, however you want to do it.
So, bottom, obviously, the Doctor within the wardrobe. Crap. 12th place, I give the Next Doctor. I enjoy it, but it's not amazing. 11th place, The End of Time. Love the last 30 minutes, but the rest is a mess. Number 10 is Last Christmas. Danny kind of ruins it, as well as the ending. Number 9, Return of Dr. Mysterio. Fun, kind of nostalgic, but overall just a bit meh. 8, Runaway Bride. The ending's a bit of a mess, but I love Catherine Tate and David Tennant, and the motorway scene's amazing. 7, Twice Upon a Time. Sexist Doctor, bad. Everything else, good. 6, Christmas Invasion. Takes forever to get going, but the last 15 minutes is great. 5, A Christmas Carol. Rewatched it yesterday. Really enjoyed it. I especially love the middle. Yeah, it's just solid. 4, Time of the Doctor. Overstuffed, but the ending's beautiful. 3, Snowmen. A few corny moments, but overall fun. 2, Husbands of River Song. Ending's amazing and just overall really fun. 1, Voyage of the Damned. Just strong all round, and I just love it. There we go.
Wait, what was number 1? Voyage of the Damned.
Yeah, Voyage of the Damned.
You went really speedy. I was like, wait, he's at number 1 already? He was just saying number 4. Yeah, fair. Yeah, that's a strong list. Tobi?
Yeah, place 13, Dr. Mysterio. Just don't vibe with it. 12, Dr. Widow and the Wardrobe. I appreciate what it's doing, but it's not for me. 11, End of Time. It's a mess. Yeah. Number 10, Christmas Invasion. Yeah, the last minutes are good, but the rest just doesn't really push it up for me. 9, Time of the Doctor. I appreciate the regeneration scene, but the rest also just didn't hold up for me. 8, The Next Doctor. I appreciate what they were trying to do. I think some stuff worked, some stuff didn't. Number 7, The Snowmen. Basically the same. I think it's a great idea what they were trying to do, but some stuff worked, some stuff didn't, but more stuff worked. 6, Runaway Bride. Very fun to watch, but there are just a couple of moments that just don't make really sense. Number 5, Twice Upon a Time. It's a good mess, and it works for me, this mess. But yeah, the first Doctor, how he was portrayed, just didn't need to be. 4, A Christmas Carol. I really like the special, and yeah. 3, Last Christmas.
Wow, that's surprisingly high.
Yeah, because I think everything before everything went down the hill, I think there's nothing wrong with it before it. I think I like everything about it, just the end didn't need to be. But because I like the rest so much, I just had to put it so much up in my list. 2nd, Voyage of the Damned. It's really fun, it's really great, and it's, I think, objectively the best, better than my number 1, Husbands of River Song, but emotionally I like Husbands of River Song.
I can see why you had that reaction when I said Husbands of River Song was bad.
I put it at number 2, so
I just like River Song.
Oh god, no pressure on
Same
me
here.
then. You guys are gonna hate my list.
yes, we are.
We already do.
At number bottom. It's the Husbands of River Song.
All right, I'm leaving. Bye.
Second from bottom is The Next Doctor. Then it's The End of Time. Then it's The Return of Dr. Mysterio. Then it's, you may be surprised to know, because I do like this one, but it's quite low. It's The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe.
Nice.
5th from bottom. Well, it's not nice. I wish it was top, but you know,
Nice.
be objective. The Time of the Doctor, Last Christmas, The Christmas Invasion, The Runaway Bride, Twice Upon a Time, Voyage of the Damned, A Christmas Carol, and at number 1 is The Snowmen. So again, there'll be graphics. So if you're listening on Spotify, which is not possible because I think I ended my subscription on Spotify for the Spin the Wheel podcast channel, so I can't add new episodes to that podcast, which is unfortunate. So this will be a YouTube exclusive, but there will be graphics. So if you're just watching this in idle mode, in terms of you're watching on YouTube Music or offline mode or whatever, do have a look at your phone or the TV, look at the graphic, and you'll be able to see our leaderboards in comparison, and also the fan leaderboard as well. So yeah, that wraps up the Christmas special of the Spin the Wheel podcast. It's been a pleasure to get this back on its heels, I guess, back on its feet. I've been joined by 2 very special guests, Jamie, Tobi, phenomenal again. Thank you guys for coming on and, you know, talking Who with me, because it's been a while and I love talking Who. So yeah, thank you guys for that.
Thank you for having me, I just include you, and well, to the viewers, have a good, I don't know when it's coming out. Have
This
a
is
good
coming
Christmas, I
out
guess.
Have a very Merry Christmas.
literally
I
the
hope that-
Tuesday before Christmas. So yeah, next week, soon.
Have a very Merry
before
Christmas. Let's hope that you
have a nice
garlic
Christmas.
is good.
You love saying that. But yeah, these 2 will be joining on the Who Game Show's YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
So do head over there. They'll be on the week.
For a special 2-hour-long Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Part 1 is an hour 5 minutes, and then Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Part 2 is an hour 22. Trust me, Part 2, as these 2 can vouch for me, is incredible and incredibly tense.
I think I'm in part 1 because I was earlier, so please watch part 1 as well.
Oh yeah, of course watch part 1. Part 1 is just as intense, but part 2 is like features a moment that is the best Who Game Show's moment of all time, in my opinion. and
Yes.
you'll see why when it comes out. So it's not as cutthroat as like it sounds. So yeah, definitely watch it. Definitely see what we're on about. Thank you guys for listening and watching this podcast. If you guys want this podcast to be revived in 2022, please like and subscribe. It's got an endearing fan base, this channel, very loyal, so thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas. Again, thank you to these two, and on behalf of these two, have a fantastic Christmas. For now, peace out.
Bye.
Bye.